Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Yes? Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari, Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana, Yasodanandana Braja Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jamuna Tira Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So every day we can begin our class with some Bhagavatam verse in the morning from the purport. So in the next verses, our Bhagavatam is a very famous Bhagavatam 1, 2, 6, which is Sutta Goswami's answer to the first question by the sages: what is the best method? What is the best dharma? So I have it on page 44 of my. It's the third verse in the fourth purport. Oh, yes. Let's. Prabhupada has given 100 classes on this verse. Huh? Yeah, not literally, 600. I mean, Prabhupada has given about, I have to check exactly, but many. It's one of the most famous, important verses. So, you can at least chant once this verse. Savaipum samparo dharmo, savaipum samparo dharma, yato bhaktira dokshaje, ahaitukya pratihata, yayatma suprasidati. So from this. Yeah, it's the same. Actually, this is the same translation. The supreme occupation, dharma, for all humanity is that by which man can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self, the soul. The self, the soul. Okay, so Prabhupada quotes this in text 4. But we continue with verse 3. The 6 magic potions, 6 charms, 6 healing herbs, which can save us on this path to perfection, to the love of Radha Krishna in Vrindavan. So we have 3 attitudes and 3 activities. One's advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on one's attitude. So some attitudes are here. So why don't we chant verse 3 again, so we can refresh this in our mind. Utsahan nishtayad dharyad, utsahan nishtayad dharyad, tat karma pravartanad, sangatyagat sato vritte, Shadbir Bhakti Prasidyati. Okay, so these are the 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. Being enthusiastic, endeavoring with confidence, being patient, acting according to regulative principles such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, hearing, chanting and remembering Krishna. 5, abandoning the association of non-devotees, and 6, following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas, teachers. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. Did you remember our exercise for this morning's japa? What were we supposed to try to do? Remember? Okay, who tried to chant? Who remembered that this is something we can try to chant with enthusiasm, determination, patience? Okay, very nice. Okay, thank you. So you can see that this is the importance of developing or working on the good qualities in devotional service. Good qualities. So these good qualities are the attitudes how we help Krishna give us blessings. So we, in the morning we chant the Shiksashtaka verse. In the Shiksashtaka, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chants the glories of the holy name. So it's in the next verse, text 4. Chetodarbana Marjanam Bhavmahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadhu Jivanam. So this is a growing moon of blessings. It's the growing moon that produces infinite blessings. And then in the next verse, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that ihajani durdaivam idrisham ihajani nanuraga. Look how unfortunate I am. I have no taste. I have no taste. It's so wonderful. The holy name is so wonderful. I have no taste. So then what to do? That's verse 3. Verse 3 is describing the perfection of steadiness. And in the third verse, he gives 4 attitudes and one main practice. So the main practice is Kirtaniya Sada Hari, that please keep chanting the name of Hari all the time. However, how do you chant? So what do you do is chant, but how do you chant? Is sunichana, in a humble way, sahishnuna, being patient and tolerant, amanina, without considering yourself to be a great avatar or even a small avatar or a great saint, right? Usually it's enough to spend some months in our practice, in our society. Oftentimes we join and we think, well, if I'm not an avatar, at least I'm a big saint, right? After some time you see, okay, obviously I'm not an avatar, then obviously it looks like I'm not a great sage. And after some time you see, well, maybe I'm not even a small sage, I'm just a humble sadhaka, humble practitioner. Right? It's called advancement in humility in our society. So, amanina manadena, and then having respect, having appreciation for all the others, both devotees and even non-devotees. We appreciate manada, giving respect to everybody, appropriate respect. This is one of the qualities also of Krishna. Krishna is manada, Krishna is respectful. So this is how we chant. So when we chant like this, then we can attain success nicely and quickly. In this verse also, we have 6 attitudes suggested by Srila Rupa Goswami to help us advance. So Prabhupada translates these, if we follow these 6, if we practice these 6, they undoubtedly assure the complete success, of pure devotional service. So, utsaha, endeavor made with intelligence in Krishna consciousness. Endeavor executed with intelligence in Krishna consciousness. We also gave we spoke about another synonym to this utsaha. So utsaha also means, can be translated as courage. So utsaha, in Sanskrit, utsaha means also courage. So acting with courage. Utsaha, nishchaya, courage. Tepfakait? Courage. Yeah, being brave. Yeah, courage. So being able to overcome one's fear, basically, doubts and fear. Courage. So, yes, this is utsaha, acting with courage, and patience. Patience, dharya. So being steady and continuing despite not maybe having all the success we want immediately. So being patient. One of my friends, when he joined, he said that he thought that his name is Udarandata from Dnipro, Ukraine. So he said he joined, and then he thought that, okay, I don't have winter boots. Now it's the summer, winter boots. So in the summer it's okay, but then the winter will come. So will I have winter boots? So it was, like early ashrams. We didn't know much about will we have money or not. And then he thought, well, anyway, winter is coming after 6 months, approximately. But in 6 months, I'll probably become self-realized, and then I will be equal to heat and cold, and I will not need any winter boots. It's going to be okay, right? So it's so much time, half a year. In half a year, you will become a perfect yogi, and you can be completely impervious, completely uninfluenced by cold or anything. So that's obviously. Obviously, this is enthusiasm. It's a good enthusiasm, but maybe not so much patience, because you think in half a year, full success, which is good, but winter comes and it's still cold, even though you have been chanting for the whole of 6 months. You have been chanting 6 months, and still in winter it could be cold. But being patient means that even though it's cold, you understand it may take a little time, and wearing warmer clothes is okay. You can get warmer clothes. So being patient. Srila Prabhupada gives 2 examples here of patience. Do you remember the 2 examples of patience Srila Prabhupada gives in the purport? Some who remembers? What are the 2 examples? Huh? The girl who wants to have a child immediately after marriage, yes. And the other? Himself, yes, himself. Himself experiencing what? What? Yes, so he has tried, he went through so many plans, right? He had so many plans. Plan A, plan B, plan C. He first tried to sponsor, bankroll Krishna consciousness. Then he tried to get the Indian. Oh yeah, another I forgot to mention yesterday. In the first canto, if you read the purports of the first canto, you can see that he oftentimes speaks to the government leaders. Yes, so that was his plan C or D, that he wanted to inspire the leadership. And you can see we have pictures of Srila Prabhupada meeting with the Prime Minister, Lal Bahadur Sastri. Jai Shri Nrsimhadev Ki Jai. So he was also trying to meet the leaders and inspire the Indian elite. Okay, you are Indian elite, so why don't you try to organize the Indian society, Indian state in some according to some dharmic principles, according to dharma. And Lal Bahadur Shastri means like we have Bhakti Shastri. So Shastri is a title, like similar probably to a master or a PhD in the West. So he was a learned person, he was nice. I was told recently he was poisoned in Tashkent when he went to the Soviet Union somehow. Anyways, and the others were not so, many others were not so interested in Dharma. Anyway, Prabhupada couldn't inspire them, so that plan didn't work. And then he tried to get some Indians to help him, give him for training some of their sons, and that didn't work. Then he went to the West. So for many years, Prabhupada was struggling very hard, and almost everybody else would become exasperated, would become hopeless. You would think, oh my God, Krishna probably doesn't want it. It's too hard. I'm trying and 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 trying, and it doesn't work. In India, we hear how a cow gored him, with a horn. Yeah, and there was a sunstroke, and he fell in the heat. So, maybe Krishna doesn't want Krishna consciousness to be spread. Is it possible? Prabhupada never gave up. Prabhupada just didn't give up, and he continued, and here we are, sitting in the Bavarian hills and thinking about Srila Prabhupada and about patience, being steady. So that's a very good mood in every endeavor. It's important. Radhanath Maharaj likes to give. He has a lecture called "Failures as the Pillars of Success." Failures, поражение как столпы успеха. Что-то такое. And for example, the Beatles. This is the most popular music band of all times, in terms of numbers, in terms of how popular they were. They were incredibly popular. Do you know how many times they tried to get a record, to have some proper record made in some studio? You know how many times they were refused? 60. 60 times they were sent home packing. Useless, go home. Go home. Or, one of the biggest bestsellers so far is, what's her name? Rowling, Harry Potter. And she was refused, 7 times or 8 times? Also, she said, no, it will not print. Or so many businesses, so many famous companies. IKEA, also the guy, I think he bankrupted 7 or 8 businesses before IKEA. But they just continue. So even in the material world, you can see this is an important principle. What to speak about moving to Krishna. Here you just don't give up. Vito, you have some question or comment?
Yes, my question is, when behind all actions, also of the senses and the moving of the sun and everything are the demigods, and at the end is Krishna. So why does Krishna give Prabhupada a sunstroke and things like this?
Why did Krishna give Prabhupada a sunstroke? When Srila Prabhupada's disciples were discussing this with Srila Prabhupada said that these were not even tests. He said these were my spiritual assets, wealth. It was my spiritual wealth. Yes, and you know what's the wealth of a Brahmana? In the second canto, the wealth of a Brahmana. That's his opulence, but his great wealth in the second canto, austerity. Yes, austerity is the wealth of a Brahmana. So Prabhupada called these austerities his wealth, and you can see that a lot of things he was doing, then he could guide his disciples very nicely, because he was doing book distribution, he was able to conquer many obstacles, so therefore when he was inspiring others, that was his personal experience. It was not theoretical. He knew what it means to distribute books in the street or to people who are not very inclined to accept it. So in other words, Prabhupada took it as his exercise, that he was experiencing himself how to do it, and so therefore he could guide others in doing it. Plus you also know, so this is for Srila Prabhupada, but also we know this famous example about Schmetterling, the butterfly, how somebody saw poor butterfly trying to get out of the cocoon. You know this example, yes? And the butterfly was struggling and struggling, so the compassionate person helped break the cocoon. Break or cut, I don't remember. What was it, cut or break? And then when the person helped, then the butterfly had no muscles to fly. The butterfly could not fly. So the butterfly needed the struggle of breaking out of the cocoon to develop muscles. And that was the training for the butterfly, to have muscles. So it looks like struggle, but this is a good struggle. Okay, so Utsaham Nishchayam Daryat, enthusiasm, patience, and Nishchaya, confidence. This we have in the third canto as one of the functions of intelligence. Intelligence has 5 functions. in the third canto, Sankhya Yoga by Kapiladeva described. So intelligence has the function of we have swapna is sleep, is the sleep with dreams. So these are 5 functions of intelligence in Sankhya. So this is sleep with dreams. Then the second is smriti, memory. This is memory. Apparently these two are connected. Sleep helps us to sort and consolidate our dreams. But then the next 3 are very interesting. They come in sequence. So the first is viparyasa. Viparyasa, noticing contradictions. Viparyasa, seeing contradictions. Suparečnosti, protivrečia. Yeah, seeing the opposite, if something is opposite. Yeah, contradictions. Like from our childhood in this material world, we hear that just enjoy your senses and you will be happy. Right? And we try and try and try and we are not happy. Right? We see they say, you are the body. Okay, enjoy. We try and no, doesn't really, the happiness and pleasure doesn't come. Some little pleasure comes, but no happiness. So we see there is a contradiction. So then the next one is samshaya, a doubt. Or doubts. So then you think, maybe I'm not the body. Maybe I'm not the body. Maybe happiness doesn't come through enjoying the senses. Doubts. So doubts is the function of intelligence. So doubts in itself is okay. So who was it? Descartes who said, de omnibus dubitandum est in Latin. You must doubt everything. Right? So doubt itself is no problem if you take it as a step, if you move to the next level. And the next level is, after doubts, is our attitude of confidence. So you find the truth, nishchaya. Nishchaya, so it's certainty. So certainty. If you are certain, you are sure. Okay, so like we were told, you are the body, enjoy, didn't work. So then we have doubts, maybe I'm not the body, maybe you are the soul. And then we try seeing the world from the spiritual perspective, and then we see, yes, from the spiritual perspective, everything makes sense, much better. Spiritual, acting as a spirit soul and behaving as everything is energy of Krishna, certainly this is a much better picture of the world, nishchaya. So this nishchaya is the attitude recommended here, being certain. Sleep with dream. it rests, and it gets a chance to sort things. They say even in learning, it's helpful after you learn, then you let the mind drift. You let your intelligence like switch over onto something else for a few minutes. And then it can memorize better. It can absorb. It absorbs things you have learned. It was a recent study also of how the brain functions.
Hare Krishna. I recently saw this video of this professor showing how the mind can be concentrated for half an hour, and if one can have a break of 5 minutes every half an hour, then the will be always 100% able to memorize everything.
Yes.
So it's really
yes. So it is helpful for the mind.
If it goes too much off topic, you please just say we continue. Because you remind me that I had one question in, one could call it a doubt, but that yesterday morning you mentioned that stating faults of others is very dangerous. And at the same time we have one purport where Srila Prabhupada says there is no harm to call a thief. So I see a contradiction. So you please help me to gain certainty in that topic, if it is possible.
Yeah, Prabhupada says there is no, when you call a thief, it's not criticism. You call the thief, коли злодія назвати злодієм, це не є критика. That's Yamaraj, and those who count the sins. I will just repeat what Prabhupada says in the Gita, chapter 17, about not disturbing the minds of others. So you see, Prabhupada says the teacher can disturb the minds of students, but he should not disturb the minds of those who are not his students. Right? So you can see, is there a benefit of calling a thief a thief? Let's say there is a thief somewhere in Paraguay, South America, and you have nothing to do with him. You know nobody living in Paraguay. Do you know anybody living in Paraguay? You know, okay. I also know, and you know, okay. So the three of us can talk about thieves in Paraguay. But for you, probably it has no meaning, right? Talking about thieves in Paraguay. So you see, is it relevant? Is it helpful? Or is it just meditation on some on something horrible? Right?
So speaking true for a purpose.
Yeah. So why do we discuss it? Right? What's the purpose? What do we attain? What do we achieve by this discussion? So you remember we have our difficult fasting, right? We are fasting, Chita Hari Prabhu. We have decided to fast. Were you there when we decided to fast? I'm not sure, but I fasted. Burijan Prabhu was saying that once in Kartik, a friend asked him, "What's your Kartik Vrata?" Vow for the Kartik. In Vrindavan you have special blessings. So he said, well, I will fast from the sweets for the Kartik. And his friend said, well, this is very ordinary. Sweets you already did so many times. Why don't you try fasting from criticizing others? And Burijan Prabhu says, I thought, wow, this is such an interesting idea. Yes, I will do it. So then he said, yes, I will fast from criticism for the month of Kartik. And then Burijan Prabhu says that I couldn't even last one day. Even one day I couldn't hold this complete fast. And he said, I realized how often I just keep criticizing without any need. No purpose. he's also giving an example. He was going to lunch every day in, I don't know, was it Gurukul or was it a temple? And he said there was someone sitting there holding his hand in some very funny way. You know, he was eating and holding his left hand in some strange way. And he says for some reason this annoyed him. So he thought, why God, again he's holding it. What is this? Such a strange gesture, holding your arm, eating and holding your arm like this. What is this? And every time he's coming, I look, oh my God, again he's holding his arm like this. So, like he was in his mind criticizing him. Oh, what is this gesture? Why is he doing this? What is this? Why is he holding his arm like this? And then he says after a couple of weeks, he was eating, and then he looked at his arm. He's holding his arm like the same way. Because he was meditating on it, for 4 weeks. So, it got into him. Oh my God, what happened? No. He's doing the same thing. So he's giving this example of, why it's not so helpful. Madhava? Да. Словами. Теж. Так.
Та я ж розмовляю на англійському.
Yes, so the question was, there's a difference in criticizing with words and in the mind. So that example of holding the hand, that was in the mind. Buriran Prabhu gives this example. He didn't say anything to anybody.
Тобто гріховних реакцій не було, проте якість здобув.
Yeah, I don't know if there is any sinful reaction. I mean, it's no sin to hold your hand any which way. You can eat like this. There's no sin. That's okay. But you can see that it's sort of he got the same thing he was criticizing. Somehow. So we should be just conscious, That's the question of being conscious. Why do you do what you do? Is there a good result in this critical thought? Sometimes yes. One of my friends who has a very critical mentality, he decided that, okay, if I hate something, some behavior, hate. So he said, I should, if I see somebody acts like this, and I don't like it, so he said, I will decide, okay, I should not act like this. This is an instruction for me how I should not give trouble to others by such behavior. So he tries to also even this mental criticism convert into some positive, and okay, he makes a conclusion. So in other words, there is just useless emotion, which toxic emotion, like suffering. Oh, why does he do this? Why does he do this? Why does he do this? Right? And I cannot stop. And there is some constructive. Okay, this is not good. Okay, so let's. If you can, tell him. If you can't, okay, take a lesson and keep going. Like a famous example. 2 monks crossing a river. You know this classic story. Crossing a river and some girl asking for help. So one monk took the girl and took her over the river. And then after 10 miles, after half a day, the second monk said, I can't believe you did this. How could you carry her across? You're a monk. So he said, well, I carried her across the river. You're carrying her in your mind for 10 miles now. So.
Я просто сподівався, що хоча б нема реакції Ямараджа, якщо я голос не сказав. Тепер і навіть в умі не може.
Yeah, Madhava is saying that he was hoping there is no sinful reaction if he didn't say it aloud, but now he is scared that even in the mind it counts. Even in the mind it's dangerous. Bashar?
We have an online question about the first topic, so I don't know if you want to take it or not. And the question from Hannah is, what is the difference between over-endeavor and not giving up?
Over-endeavor and not giving up. Very good.
Meaning, what is the difference between over-endeavor? She repeats the question, clarifies it. What's the difference between over-endeavor and determination? When should we push hard when should we push hard and when should we let go?
Very nice. Okay, so in devotional service, sometimes you just have to keep going like Srila Prabhupada, and sometimes you should change your plan. How do you know? Yes, talk to senior devotees, consult with senior devotees, yes. I think Sachidananda Maharaj says consult 5 of your devotee friends.
It depends. In the case of Srila Prabhupada, he got instruction of his spiritual master and
Yes.
he stick to it, and he went no matter what.
Yes, for Srila Prabhupada, this was his mission. So he took, Bhakti Siddhantaji gave him the mission, so he was completely fixed in this, in his mission. Also, you can see there is a saying, make your goals of stone and plans of sand. Right? So where you go, of stone, but how you go it, be flexible. Because you can see Prabhupada has gone through like 7 different strategies, and even after founding ISKCON, he has changed his strategy many times. He was very flexible. First he was marrying everybody, then he stopped arranging marriages, then he was giving sannyas to everybody, then he said no sannyas, then he gave sannyas to a few people. Yeah, so Prabhupada was seeing what works, what doesn't work, and how to move on. He was very perceptive, very conscious, very flexible in terms of the specific tactics and strategy. But the goals, of stone, unshakable. Okay, Björn? Okay, something else? Somebody else had a hand? Yes.
Connected to the topic criticism, I've heard many times from different devotees that you cannot see in others what you don't have within yourself. Or so when we judge something, it's because we do have problem or disanartha within ourselves. So how can we understand like this when
It's
we
my
actually
if it's
judge
my
it,
problem?
or if it's our own
Yeah. Yes. So there is this phenomenon that's called projection in the West. Yeah? My fault I see in others. Right? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says this is called Atmavan Manyate Jagat. You see the world as you are. Atmavan Manyate Jagat. Yes, he described this. So how do I know? Is it my fault or is this? So usually, if it's my fault, it's obsessive. I can't tolerate it. It's intolerable. If it's his fault, okay, just move to the side and that's it. Like I remember we had this exercise in one place, and then I went to visit a neighbor temple, and I came there, and there was a nice singer singing some kirtan, and I really didn't like how he sang. I thought, my God, how is he singing? He's singing in such a, I'm sure he wants attention and glory. He's singing in such a, oh, my God, you know. And then I thought, Adi, why are you, stop criticizing, you have this criticism fast. And again, oh my God, how, I couldn't, and I was, so critical. I'm preaching to myself, Adi, you're here for the first and last time. You see, you don't know who this person is. You don't know if he's actually doing this for glory, or maybe he is, that's his style. That's how they taught him to sing. And, I couldn't stop. And then I thought, wait a minute. Why is it disturbing you so much? Oh, maybe because you like to get some, approval and appreciation. So that this is my fault. That's why I see it. If somebody is proud, I see pride from 15 kilometers. Even if it's not there, I can see it. Yeah? Because it's here, right? So I can see it very easily. And then I thought, oh, okay, that's my problem. Immediately, criticism was gone. And I was, walking around very sad. Oh, that's my problem. Okay, that's not his problem. That's my problem. And then, it's here. So they say if it's obsessive, I can't give it up. I cannot stop. Usually this could be a sign that this is my problem, not the person's problem. Can be there, or maybe not. Okay, so maybe I can ask you to turn to a friend or a neighbor and share what helps you to stop criticizing in your mind. You know, you see something or somebody that you want to criticize, and then how do you overcome this urge to find fault with somebody? Can you please share some of your you're experienced fasters, yogis, so what helps you to overcome? So you can turn to your friend. So just, shortly. Hare Krishna. Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay. Maybe a little later. Yes. Okay. Dear austere yogis, fasting from the very difficult, in a very difficult practice. You might have heard in the Brahma Samhita that the highest austerity is mind control and focus on the holy name, japa, mantra. Focus on the mantra. Why is it such a big, difficult austerity? Because in this austerity we have to give up not external things, but we have to maybe sacrifice attachment to some of my thoughts, right? And focus on the mantra. That's why it's the most difficult austerity. Okay, so Utsahan Nishchayan Dharyat, and criticism was our from our previous texts, where our criticism falls under. In which verse do we have this criticism fast? Basharva? Which? We are on verse 3, but avoiding criticism, or how to say, useless criticism or not constructive criticism. Okay, this is urge of the mind and urge of the tongue, vachovegam, and manasa krodavegam. Okay. Is there, yes? Prajalpa, also prajalpa, yeah, one of the, it could be either useless talk or it could be actually even, some destructive talk sometimes. Okay, so obviously this is helpful. Also, it's helpful for some healthy relationships with others. Okay, so some comments on this criticism fast? Okay, questions on this criticism fast? Go into that, Prabhu. Go into there.
Yeah, just about the point that when you criticize, sometimes people are very sure that they're just stating the facts.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, I think, an interesting topic, that when you think you're just stating the facts, but if it's very obsessive, it seems that maybe it is actually some attachment the person might have, but the person still is convinced, no, I'm just stating the facts. So how can you help a person see their wrong attitude?
If, they say you can bring the horse to water, but you can't force the horse to drink. Yes. It's up to the person. Basically, we just need to show the engage constructively, criticism in some constructive way. There are areas where criticism is needed, and this is good. But in general, basically, the idea is: does it help? Does it help? Is there some good result from this? Is this the person's? Is this your service? Right. Uh-huh. Okay, it's a nice point that Mother Prabhu says he was grumbling towards some people. So your mentor told you, are you their guru? Are you their mentor? Do they ask you questions? And if not, then why do you instruct them? Braj Bihari Prabhu says, not hired, don't teach. Not hired, don't teach, right? Even in the Bhagavatam, naprishto nabruyat. If you are not asked, then do not teach. So Parikshit Maharaj therefore is asking again. So in this end of the first canto, the same question he asked to the sages, to give the chance to reply. Bashar Prabhu?
The question, I think it was already answered, but regarding this story, there's like one disciple is telling Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, and he's criticizing one god brother, and Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada answered, like, I am his spiritual master, and I'm supposed to see the faults, but you have the option not to see the faults. Why do you still do it?
Okay, that's
it's
nice.
like a burden, you know.
Yes. Okay, so sorry for criticizing your criticism. Sometimes I feel scared because people who criticize collect the sense of the world. And if I criticize the critics, I collect all these things, right? So I'm sometimes a little scared what to do. Okay, so why don't we all stand up for a second to become clean and refreshed and it's a few more minutes. Okay, so verse 3 gives these three attitudes, Utsahan, Nishchayan, Dharyat, three activities, Sangha Tyaga, giving up undesirable association. So, again, the main three forms of undesirable association, some sinners, like people who say, yeah, we should sin more. There are plenty of people like this. Karmi, those who are into pious karma, who will try to convince you, no, you should go to Swarga and enjoy there. That's the best, what you should do. Become a demigod. And false renunciates or Gyanis, Mayavadis who say, no, you should just merge. You should just, become one with the effulgence of Brahman, and, Bhakti is not so good. So these things, these are undesirable forms of association. So we avoid. Rather than that, follow Satovrita. Rather than that, associate with the devotees, with the Mahajans, great personalities who follow the path, so that we get inspired. And it creates so many blessings. It's infinite blessings flowing through the devotees. Devotees are channels of blessings, right? That's your role. You are a channel of blessings. Instead of being a channel of chastising and curses, we should distribute blessings. Be blessed, be happy, advance on the path to the highest success. Advaita Simha Prabhu?
Just about our karma, it's false renunciation, but also akarma means, renunciation in a real way, no?
So yes, so that's why I put here these. Maybe I should make it bigger.
I know.
It's so-called akarma, not real akarma, but the so-called. This is what Arjuna was trying to call akarma. Don't fight, don't serve, just sit in the forest, don't do. So, in other words, it's not real akarma, it's so-called akarma.
So my question is more like Krishna consciousness would be akarma, or? If we
Yes.
act for Krishna, then we don't create karma.
Exactly, that's true. That would be true akarma. Bhakti is real akarma.
But other than bhakti is also some example you have.
Other than bhakti,
Yeah.
well, karma yoga. Karma yoga, the initial steps of bhakti, karma yoga is also akarma. Does not produce reactions. Björn, Prabhu?
I have one question, but it's from the verse before. Maybe I should ask it at the end, or it's now?
If you will remember, let's get back to this at the end. Okay, so following the Mahajans, follow the path. Like we see that Srila Prabhupada is describing the path. For example, in India, smoking marijuana nowadays, I mean, since many years, it's considered like the proper behavior of a spiritual person. Or even tobacco. Bidis, yes. One friend of mine, a devotee, he said, well, this world is so hard. Of course they smoke if they are not devotees. If you don't practice devotional service, of course it will be very difficult for you to do anything but smoke. But Srila Prabhupada is very clear that, that's not a good habit, and just follow devotional service and you don't have to smoke. So we follow Satovrite, we follow the standard set by the acharyas, the standard set by the devotees. And we need devotee association, and text 4 gives us the 6 loving exchanges between devotees. So let us chant each line 2 times in text 4. Dadati pratigrihnati, dadati pratigrihnati, guhyam akhyati pritchati, guhyam akhyati pritchati, bhunkte bojayate chaiva, bhunkte bojayate chaiva, shadvidham priti lakshanam, shadvidham priti lakshanam. And if you have the English translation, let us also read this together. Offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasad and offering prasad are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. So, Shadvidam Priti Lakshanam. Priti. Priti is loving exchanges. So these are the 6 loving exchanges. Oftentimes we don't know how to cultivate loving exchanges. So here's the help. This is the verse taken exactly from the Panchatantra. So this verse is exactly in this form found there in the chapter about developing friendships. So if some of us have trouble finding how to develop friendships, so here's help. Although it's very natural. Prabhupada says even ordinary businessmen in this world, that's how they make deals. They go to, Prabhupada says, this is the 2nd paragraph. Even in ordinary activities, these 6 types of dealings between 2 loving friends are absolutely necessary. Absolutely necessary. For instance, when one businessman wishes to contact another businessman, he arranges a feast in a hotel. Hotel meaning a restaurant. And over the feast openly expresses what he wishes to do. He then inquires from his business friend how he should act, and sometimes presents are exchanged. So this is very natural. But we want to have this with devotees, so Prabhupada is saying, basically here he says, the next sentence, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness has been established to facilitate these 6 kind of loving exchanges between devotees. It's a big statement. So why did Prabhupada establish ISKCON? For these 6 exchanges. So this International Society for Krishna Consciousness is for these 6 exchanges. If you study the 7 purposes of ISKCON, or the 14 purposes of the International League of Devotees from Srila Prabhupada, you will see that it says to bring people closer together, to facilitate exchanges, to have spiritual relationships between devotees, communities for friendly, loving exchanges. So this is to give gifts and also to accept gifts. So some of us will not like to take gifts. If you practiced yoga in the previous lives, some yogis have it as a rule, take no gifts at all. So you will be reluctant to take any gifts. You will not want to accept anything by your training from before. So this will be a conscious act to accept gifts, to learn that gifts need to be accepted. That's a friendly exchange. It's the exchange of friendship. I will not be able to tell you how many people I insulted by not accepting gifts. Some friends, like one of my friends, we were walking and I said this is a good day to exchange, to give charity, and he immediately bought me bananas, wanted to give me the bananas, and I said, no, this is not natural, this is not good, and I insulted him, but by not taking these gifts. So, whereas I see how Niranjana Maharaj, he always makes certain that he accepts the gifts. I remember once I was traveling with him, and it was Krasnodar, and there's one lady, Satya, she's from Vladikavkaz, Caucasian mountains. Her daughter, I think, lives in West Ukraine, Lviv. So she brought a bag of biscuits, cookies, for Niranjana Maharaj, and he was on a very strict diet. He was supposed to avoid butter, sugar, and white flour. And the biscuits are made of butter, sugar, and white flour. Nothing else. So she made these nice these cookies, and she brought and said, "Oh, these are for Maharaj." So I thought, my God, he's on a diet, and this is white flour and sugar, and So I say, okay, I will. I thought I will take it and hide it somewhere. And Niranjana Maharaj was nearby, he saw it, so he immediately came. He said, "Oh, this is for me?" And he came closer, he immediately took one of these cookies, and right in front of her, he ate it and said, "Oh, it's delicious, it's so good. Let me take another one." And her heart melted. I could see that she's so happy that she made this for him, and he immediately accepted, like in a very happy, loving way. And he showed that he will take it. He took it immediately. She was happy, and so he took this bag of cookies. He ate 2, and then he gave the rest to me. Then in the car he said, "Well, I'm not supposed to eat these, so you finish." But this was a very strong lesson to me that he will not, eating 1 or 2 cookies is not the end of the world, but he accepted them in a very conscious and loving way. So sometimes you need to, write a note to ourselves. Okay, gifts, don't reject immediately. Okay, gifts, you accept the gifts, Because sometimes we have this, tendency to just immediately reject gifts. So, six exchanges here. Prabhupada says, the life of the Krishna conscious society is nourished by these 6 types of loving exchange among the members. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is saying that this nourishes the life of devotion. You need to refresh, rejuvenate your life of devotion. So this is the hint, this is the help. So these six loving exchanges. Again, give gifts, take gifts, reveal confidential realizations, and hear and feed and accept prasadam. Niranjana Maharaj also says that the sign of advancement is what do we speak outside of the Bhagavatam class. Because at the Bhagavatam, okay, we have to speak about Krishna, okay, what to do. But, outside, do we sometimes speak about Krishna? So I feel so happy that I have friends, I talk to them, about the war, the documents, this, that, and then they say, oh, in the Bhagavatam, I read yesterday this and this. In a very natural way, they speak about Krishna. Not artificially, not just, oh, I have to say something about Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No, he says, oh, you know what I read? It's such an interesting point I saw yesterday in the Bhagavatam. So very naturally they speak about Krishna. That's the true friendship. That you feel inspired to talk about Krishna, talk about spiritual topics, and not just about some other things. So guhyam, confidential, deep, important things. So this also is the essence of preaching, Prabhupada is saying. That we offer people the books, offer people this important jewels, this important knowledge, the jewels of Krishna consciousness, and we accept their donations and we feed them prasadam, and in this way life of devotion is developing. We may not be able to inspire animals as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to sing Hare Krishna. We can tell them Hare Krishna, but oftentimes they will not respond Hare Krishna. Sometimes, very rarely, but not very often. But Prabhupada says, at least to humans, we have to help develop Krishna consciousness by singing Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dancing, speaking about Krishna, hearing about Krishna, revealing our heart and hearing, feeding, taking prasad, giving gifts, accepting gifts. This way, Prabhupada says that ISKCON has been established to facilitate these six kinds of loving exchanges between devotees. Hare Krishna. Okay, so comments, questions, points? So Sanjay Prabhu, also Björn, did you have some?
I would like to contribute something to you said about His Holiness Niranjana Swami, that he was careful to accept. And I noticed that my own Diksha Guru, His Holiness Kadamakananda Swami, I was wondering sometimes when I was serving him a little bit, and in brahmachari life or renunciate life we lean towards simplicity. And then sometimes I wondered that why is he keeping it in the room, like someone gave something and he kept it for several days and left it there and have fun. I didn't understand. And then at some point I noticed that whatever he gets, he's very, very careful to appreciate it and to use it and to appreciate the person who has given to him. So I found it a big lesson for myself, like to be
Thank you.
intelligent and
Yes,
conscious.
yes,
Where is
yes.
it coming from, and the personal aspect of that.
Yes, nice. Thank you. So, Björn, did you have some?
Yeah, my question is, today in the morning I read in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya that a bhakta should not practice austerity, what it was said like that austerity comes by practicing devotional service is something natural. We should not artificial. Yeah. And my question is like, what is the difference between like in this verses we have to control the tongue and so on? Is this a direct effort or something we just step to Krishna consciousness and practice, and then it automatically will cultivate in ourselves, or is it something we have to bring an effort and really conscious do something for it?
I'll just wait for the translation to run. So, Bhakti is Bhakti is a positive process. Bhakti is the positive process. So, there are some statements where Prabhupada makes the play on the words. He says yoga means plus. This is in Hindi. In Hindi, sum, arithmetic sum, summa, sum is yoga. You say yoga. So Prabhupada is making this play on words, saying that yoga means plus Krishna. If you just try to do minus Maya, it's like minus Maya, you feel, oh, nothing is there or something. Yes. But if you do plus Krishna, then naturally you will be able to give up some other things. So, yeah, okay, I mentioned this smoking, yeah? So before Krishna consciousness, I was smoking. Sorry. Of course, quitting was easy. I quit at least like 10 times. But then I started again. Even in the forest, I lived in the forest as a Buddhist, and still, I walked 15 kilometers to the village to buy cigarettes or something. But then, as I joined in the ashram, I just forgot. After 10 days, I saw somebody smoking on the street, and I thought, oh my God, I'm not smoking. Oh, how happened? I didn't plan to quit so abruptly, but I just forgot. So that's the idea of the positive process. It's good to know what is the negative. We have the four regulative principles. We have, this we don't do, that we don't do, or like we have this criticism fast. But probably, as we have discovered, the best way to achieve something negative is by doing something positive. Like to avoid criticism, you practice satisfaction, you practice meditation on the purpose, what's the purpose of such act. So also with austerity, the best austerity is to think about Krishna. The best purification of the mind is to focus the mind on the mantra. And then the negative is to help the positive. Sometimes you can add, so we have Ekadashi, we have some fast, we have early morning, we have cold bath. I heard one devotee taking cold bath yesterday, and for a long time, not too short, I made a joke 3 days ago that cold baths tend to be very quick for some reason, but it was, I think, longer than very short. Today is Surya Sankranti, the sun has just moved into the next sun. They say it's a good day to take cold bath, not for too long. So these are all good things for training, but they are not so important without the positive development of Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada is saying, it's not minus Maya, because it's not very steady, but it's plus Krishna. We are interested in developing our loving relationships with Krishna. That's the main thing. And austerity is a subsidiary help for that. Sometimes our austerity is very happy. Yeah, when you chant and sing Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Naturally, you often forget about the body and that there is this material body and the material mind. So that's the best austerity. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada, Ki Jai, Nectar of Instruction, Ki Jai. So remember, the fasting continues. Let's go take breakfast, but the fasting continues. And remember about the 6 loving exchanges as the purpose of ISKCON. And we continue tomorrow morning with verses 5 and then 6 about relationship between devotees. Today evening there is Kirtan evening, so no class in the evening. Today? I don't know. We are still making okay. We are still doing okay. Yes, we're making good time. We can. Yeah. Okay. Let's see tomorrow. We can decide. We can have kirtan tonight. That's okay. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shri Prahlad Nrsimhadev, Lakshmi Nrsimha.